Chris Ekstrom, 444 Woodruff Court, Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you, commissioners. I guess I appreciate the switching of the order of things here because you have not taken action on items 25 or 26 in your agenda. However, being that public participation is normally at the end, I assume that action would have already taken place. So hopefully it's a good sign that you moved it. So I want to address two items here on your agenda. Item 25 is an amendment to the FC Cincinnati Cooperative Agreement. Since there's so many people, there's the most people I've ever seen at a commissioners meeting, I hope people realize how messed up this deal is. Every agreement is either being revised in a state of revision or has some other problem with it, including, we just learned last night, at literally like 9 o'clock last night, I learned that they're changing the Ohio Revised Code for this project. So there are so many things in flux. You have on here to approve an amendment. We know the Port Authority has a whole new agreement that they have to do on this. Milford has done, at least by my count, 3 amendments, agreement changes, etc. I don't think there's a stable deal here at this point. And I was looking to figure out what they might be changing the Ohio Revised Code, since the legislative text that they're going to vote on in Columbus today is not available as of this moment in time of what those changes are. And the only thing I can figure is that I step back and say, there's never actually been a land purchase involving a governmental entity on the FC Cincinnati deal. Think about that for a second. It was approved in August. There's never been a land purchase on this deal that supposedly financed $5 million through taxpayer funds. I appreciated Mr. Monger making a comment about an appraisal on property, a third-party review of it, and that it can be appealed. FC Cincinnati has $5 million in taxpayer money being spent on land where there's never been an appraisal of that land. There has never been an opportunity for people to even see the purchase agreements associated with the land, and no government entity has participated. I think the only reasonable action on FC Cincinnati today is to do nothing. Okay? The next action you should think about is suspending the hotel tax until this is figured out. You've been collecting the hotel tax for 2.5 months based on the assumption there would be bonds in place being serviced on a land purchase that do not exist. And that's the only reasonable action. Second thing is item 26 relates to the employment of Strauss Troy relating to Linda Fraley. This one I particularly don't get. I complimented both you guys on tabling both these things, but they come back. They're like the Terminator. They keep coming back on the agenda. And on this one in particular, I'm stunned that last week you sat primed to approve $525 per hour for Strauss and Troy to represent Ms. Fraley on a matter that was done 5 months ago, and all legal work was done over 5 months ago. I provided you with a appeals court case that clearly stated that it's improper for payment of fees that are petitioned after those legal services have taken place. Additionally, there should not be the need to even pay for legal services. You should use reciprocity with the prosecutor of another county, which is the normal practice, that when there's a conflict of interest involving your prosecutor's office, you go ask an adjacent county to help you out. I don't know why taxpayer money is getting used on this, especially given that this matter was, unless the appeals court reopens it, it was closed 5 months ago. So I don't get it. Secondly, I think that this county needs to move away from the employment of Strauss Troy on projects. I know Mr. Humphrey, Strauss Troy is your personal attorney. Strauss Troy is connected with most of our common pleas judges, is either having been their campaign manager or in some connection with them. Strauss Troy, through Joe Braun, the face of Strauss Troy in Clermont County, is been appointed by those judges. There's just tons of conflicts of interest here. Additionally, I don't know how many people in this room know, but Joe Braun, the face of Strauss Troy in Clermont County, is under investigation by the Supreme Court Office of Disciplinary Counsel as we speak. So it's time, I think, first, doesn't make any sense, but it's also time to step away from these kind of deals, especially when I come back to, I can't believe, I started to say this, is that you go from $525 per hour last week, and by me questioning it, it gets tabled, and the fees drop 54%. There's a lot of money you approved spending today. I was adding up $500,000 here, $500,000 there, $500,000 there for different projects that you guys approved. You start adding that up, it gets to be serious money. I'm trying to remember how the saying goes. $500,000 here, $500,000 there, eventually it becomes serious money. And the notion that these legal fee mumbo jumbo drop 54% just by somebody questioning it makes me question what you guys are doing in stewardship of our resources and money. So I advise no action on this, on the Fraley thing, and I advise that on FC Cincinnati, the only thing you should be doing is looking at suspending the hotel tax until there is actually a deal in place. Thank you, Commissioners.
And I would like to speak on item 26 also, the hiring of Strauss Troy. This is my first meeting, so if I'm out of line on anything I say, or just feel free to say something to me, because my little village of Amelia is run a little differently, and when it comes to public participation and all that stuff, I'm one of these guys. I like to ask questions, but it don't seem like I'm gonna get an answer. So
talk to staff about questions rather than us in our formal meeting.
talk to who?
Staff.
Okay.
Michael.
Okay. The thing I have with Strauss Troy is Strauss Troy, well, for one thing, they're not even in Clermont County. And I kind of have a problem with that. We're Clermont County here. Why are we hiring a firm that's in Hamilton County, a different county? I would think we'd want to stay close to home when it comes to hiring any kind of law firm to represent anybody in this county. That's just my opinion on that. Now, Strauss Troy was representing the village of Amelia from at least 2013 up until they are resigning at the end of this year, December 31st. And the reason they're resigning is, well, for one thing, they've done some unethical stuff to us. For instance, not accepting a legal petition, and that is on record, where they flat out denied a legal petition from the residents, denied it. It's on record. So they're resigning from Amelia effective at the end of this year, like I said, under disgrace. And I don't think you want me to get into that. But just to let everybody know, over the last 6 years, our little village of less than 5,000 people, 5,000 now at the next census, has paid this law firm over $400,000. And for them to walk away like that, I think that speaks volumes to how ethical or unethical they are as a law firm. And I would hope that you guys would reconsider going with them and look more in county. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back from executive session. No decisions were made. We're continuing with our agenda on item 25.
Item 25 is a recommendation to amend the cooperative agreement among the County of Clermont, the City of Milford, and the Clermont County Convention and Visitors Bureau by amending the timing and extent of obligations to remit all amounts that the county received on the imposition of the additional 1% excise tax following the issuance of the city securities as outlined in Exhibit A and Exhibit B, and to authorize Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to execute the First Amendment to the cooperative agreement effective 12/12/2018. The change here is initially it was the collection of the tax and the disbursement to the CVB was to happen at the commencement of the tax. And the city securities have not been issued, so this changes that cooperative agreement so that the disbursement of the tax to the CVB would not occur until the city securities are issued.
Okay, do we have a motion to execute the amendment?
I'll make a motion for item 25.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, let's just discuss that for a second. Tom, my understanding is that under the current cooperative agreement, the monies that are monies actually started being collected on
In October.
October.
Yes.
And that basically those monies were slanted for distribution to the CVB on 12/15. Is that correct? December 15. So right now, by that agreement, they're caused to shift those monies to the CVB. What we're asking to approve here is just strictly a change that allows those monies to be held in a sinking account by the auditor and not to be distributed to the CVB. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. So it allows us to hold that money and it's not going to be dispersed there.
That's correct.
Now, recognizing on down the road here, if they don't issue this debt, and this property is never paid for, it's never bought, so then there's going to have to be some type of other amendments to documents that would allow you to do something with this money? Is that fair?
So currently, if the city of Milford does not issue the debt.
Okay.
They would be in default of the cooperative agreement.
Okay,
So we would have to process it now, and you're here, but just stop me. The process would be, we'd have to remedy that default. We'd have to send a letter to the city of Milford saying you have to remedy that default. We give them so much time to remedy that default,
correct?
okay? If they decide that they cannot issue those securities for whatever reason, and they send us a letter saying there will be no debt, then that sunsets the tax. Is that in our current resolution, the money is to go to the city of Milford for the debt, and that's how the resolution is written. So should they not issue the debt, there's a sunset provision that says if there is no debt and we receive confirmation by Milford there is no debt, then the tax would sunset at that point.
Okay,
So the question would be, there's going to be a balance in that account. Because we've collected the tax, what do we do with the balance in the account? Those were the changes that we'd have to consider through that cooperative and through the resolution.
That would have to be done in the future if that were the case, yes.
okay,
As of right now, the only thing that's required to protect the county, I believe, is this amendment that you have in front of us so that we hold on to the money that we've.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Judith.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 26.
So in consideration, in conjunction with item 26, I want to first ask the board to consider a motion to move agenda item number 24 from the December 5th, 2018 session off the table for consideration. As you recall, we tabled that.
Which one?
Item 24 from the December 5th,
Which is now item 26?
No.
No.
not yet.
Oh,
We just have to move that item off the table for consideration.
okay. Do I have that motion, or do I have that?
Someone will need to make a motion to move that item off the table.
What item was it from the 5th?
That's where I'm,
Item number 24 from the December 5th.
yeah, well, I don't have the 20, I don't have that set of minutes to be able to know what item 24 was.
You have an excerpt right there in front of you, Tom, of item 24. It was turned cattywampus with the rest of the things?
So the motion that's being asked for here is a motion to take it off the table.
And to-
In other
and
words,
to-
bring
and
it
to
back into
consider
the
it.
session.
And to
That's
consider it.
correct.
I want to know what I'm motioning, what I'm,
Okay.
Commissioner Humphrey, the motion, item 24 was a recommendation to.
we
authorize-
lost our clerk,
Oh, no,
so.
we're without a clerk.
She snuck out on me. I got it.
I'm just going to read it.
Item 24, on the 12/5/18 agenda was a recommendation to authorize Edwin H. Humphrey, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute the joint application for employment of outside legal counsel with the Clermont County Prosecuting Attorney to the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas for the employment of legal counsel, and it was law firm Strauss Troy, represent Linda L. Fraley, Clermont County Auditor, in all litigation resulting from the probable cause affidavit filed by Christopher Hicks, identified as State of Ohio versus Linda L. Fraley, and assigned in the Clermont County Municipal Court, and the total was not to exceed $525 per hour. And I ask that that be brought back off the table for consideration.
Do we have a motion to bring that off the table for consideration?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in,
Mr. Painter?
roll call.
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Okay.
Further, I ask the board to consider a motion to amend by substitution agenda item number 24 from the 12/5/18 session by substituting it with the following motion, which is a recommendation to authorize Edwin H. Humphrey, President of the Board, to execute the joint application for employment of outside legal counsel with the Clermont County Prosecuting Attorney to the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas for the employment of legal counsel of Strauss Troy, 150 East 4th Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, to represent Linda L. Fraley, Clermont County Auditor, in all litigation resulting from the probable cause affidavit filed by Christopher Hicks, identified as State of Ohio versus Linda L. Fraley, and assigned in the Clermont County Municipal Court, and the compensation will be at the range of $135 per hour to $350 per hour, with a total amount not to exceed $25,000.
Okay, we have a motion before us. Do we have someone to make that motion?
I'll make a motion for item 26.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Judith, roll call.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
No.
Mr. Humphrey?
Abstain.